Well, what's happening, everyone? Welcome back for another episode of the Chamber Podcast. My name is Rob Johnson. We have a fantastic show in store for you today. I'm really excited about the show as we're talking about an organization that makes a tremendous impact on the community level here in Livingston County. And joining me to talk about that particular mission is Katie Choate. She is the Senior Director of Community Engagement at Gleaners Community Food Bank of Southeast Michigan. Katie, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Rob. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
And just for the record, that was all in one take.
Yeah, well done.
I'm pretty sure that was the longest intro that we've done to date, but it's really fun. And you know, I've been paying attention to what Gleaners has done in the county here since I've been in business here, and just a fantastic organization. But I just for people that may not be aware, I want to give you some time just to give people a rundown of what Gleaners is, what it does, who it helps.
Sure. Yeah, so Gleaners Community Food Bank of Southeast Michigan covers Southeast Michigan as a appropriately titled, but then we also have our office here in Livingston County. So we we are a food bank, but we are also a food pantry here in Livingston County. So under the same umbrella, but two separate entities, which is pretty cool. So on the food bank side of things, we serve Livingston County and over 50 partners that we have here in the county, including other agencies. And our job is to provide food to the community with our residents who are facing food insecurity. So we cover that end of it. And then we also have a pantry within our building that is open to any resident of Livingston County to come and do a shopping experience. It's called Shared Harvest Pantry, and we have set it up just like a little mini market. So it's the same as you would go into Bush's or Kroger. We have fresh produce, we have milk and shelf-stable items. We also have a whole side of our mini store that is with refrigeration units, and we have frozen food, refrigerated food. So it's a complete shopping experience for our clients who come in, and we don't vet anyone out. It's completely open to anybody in the public, which is a beautiful thing, and that we aim to serve, and that's what we do.
Very good. So going into your story, Katie, how did you become involved?
Wow, it's a good question. So I grew up here in Livingston County my whole life. I was born and raised here in Brighton, and so knowing my community and having lived here my whole life, I've seen a lot of different things in this world, and I've seen how Brighton has evolved into a very small country town, into still a small town feel, but more of a city. And that population has changed a bit since I grew up here in the 80s. So I started doing some work in philanthropy, and I was a stay-at-home mom for a while, and so I started figuring out ways that I could get involved in my community a little bit better while my kids were in school. And then that led me to doing some outreach in the community with some other organizations that are great here in Livingston County as well. And then that transferred to my role as mom in my kids in their school, and how I was being an example to my children in the community and outreach. And so my children actually had outreach projects they had to do, community service. And so we were trying to find unique ways that we could give back to the community. And I started doing that. And then I moved into a different field, which was kind of like an event planning. And I started working as an event planner for nonprofits in the county, helping them raise money for whatever cause they had. And then that kind of led me, after my children were grown, that I could go back into a career field. I didn't actually, I kept my event planning business, and it was just, word of mouth, contractual, whatever. And then I worked in the paint industry for a little bit, and as a vice president of operations, and gained some experience there.
Did you say paint or paint?
Paint,
paint.
Yeah.
I said the paint industry. No. I'm like, all right, she's
No,
an enforcer.
Paint. Yeah, right. No. So, so paint. And then I was a VP of operations for quite some time. And so there's a really cool synergy between my VP of operations side of my know-how and my event planning side. And I wanted to really more focus on the event planning, but then I wanted to stay in the nonprofit sector. That's really more of my sweet spot. So The job at Gleaners came open. I've been in the role for 11 months, and I applied. And I was like, this seems like a really good fit. I have volunteered for Gleaners in the past with my kids back in the community service days, and we have done some really good advocate work with Gleaners from the school side of things. So when this position opened up as a senior director, I really felt like it was a good meeting of both, a good marriage of both my VP operations side, understanding how business works, and then also the philanthropy side. So I was hired in and I began my community engagement work here at the company, and it's been wonderful.
What's something that people would be surprised to learn about people in Livingston County and how Gleaners serves, particular demographics?
I think people would be surprised in Livingston County to know how many of our residents are food insecure. I think we look at Livingston County as a very affluent county, and it is. But we do have pockets of areas that could use a little bit of help and, in other ways. And we serve about 20% of the population in Livingston County in some way that are facing food insecurity. A lot of our clients who come in, sometimes they come in for one occasion. They've fallen on hard times. They can't make their bill payment. They paid their bills and they don't have any food left, money left over for food. So we say, okay, So then we have residents of Livingston County who are our guests regularly, and that's okay too. But I think it would be a shock for some of our local residents to really know and understand what that number really looks like for Livingston County based on, what we see, right? Because I've lived here my whole life, and like I said before, and so I've seen it evolve into small town feel to bigger city feel with small town vibe. And now it's still got our areas of work that needs to be done, and this is one of those.
I see.
Yeah.
And looking at, so first of all, 1 in 5 seems much higher than I would have anticipated for Livingston County. How is that representative of like children, whether it's at the high school or, younger? How do they fit into this, 1 in 5 statistic?
You mentioned the schools. We have a good partnership with the school districts, and I could tell you that one way that we serve is with school mobiles. And we have mobiles at our Fowlerville Community Schools, Howell Community Schools, Heartland Community Schools, and Pinckney Community Schools. Right now, our biggest mobile is Fowlerville. We serve 160 households a month just at that mobile. And what that means is Gleaners, we take the food. We have volunteer groups that come in and help us pack food into different categories. Then we bring that food to the school district and we set it out. And then the residents are able to drive up, tell our volunteers how many people are in their household, and then our volunteers pack the amount of food that is necessary for their family to use for, let's say, the rest of the month. And then they drive off. So it's like a drive up model.
Okay. So when you say mobile, it's, it's just basically like a pop-up.
Pretty much.
And then I guess like on the frequency, so they come up and, they're obviously in, need. And is it a week's worth, 2 weeks? Like how do you plan and budget and prepare, and how does that all work?
It's usually a month's worth of food.
Month's worth.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the same goes for our pantry. So when our clients come in and they want to have a shopping experience, and when I say shopping experience, I mean there's no money involved, but it is truly set up like a grocery store. They get a grocery cart and they fill their carts to the brim with the foods that they need based on per person in the household. So it's a complete shopping experience, and I mean that in that regard. But the food that they're putting in their cart is to last them a month. Yeah. And we have shopping days on Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. We have hours like between 9 and 1 on during the day, and then on 2 days of the week, we open up shopping experiences between 5 and 7 because we recognize that we have working families that come to see us, and so we make those available hours open to them. On Wednesdays is unique because we have a market that we open up, and it's a fresh market. So they are able to come back every week on Wednesday, and that's a drive-up model as well. And they are able to replenish all the fresh produce, milk, and dairy products that maybe they went through for the week, and they need more, so they can come back every Wednesday and get what they need.
I see. And then how is Gleaners funded, and how does that work from a organizational standpoint?
Sure. Our funding is done in many different ways. We often apply for grants and endowments and large companies. We have partnerships with larger companies, including Ford Philanthropy, just as one example. We have a great partnership with Feeding America. And so a lot of the channels in which we bring funds in happen to be through those channels. We do a lot of fundraising efforts throughout Southeast Detroit. We do food and fun drives that incorporates allowing the local community to come in and be involved in what we're doing. So that's one way to raise funds, but also to raise food as well, which is a really great model. And then we do like for example, in Livingston County, we will have a 5K run in June. And that'll be a kickoff fundraiser that we're going to start every year. It'll be our first annual year this year. And the goal is to engage the community in a way that the community wants to be involved in helping us figure out a way to create an environment where we don't have food insecurity any longer. And so we have a hunger-free summer campaign that happens in the month of June. And we will use the run this year in Livingston County to kick off that campaign for local companies to raise funds and dollars that goes back to our food bank so that we can buy the produce and the food that we need.
I see. So, Katie, we have a lot of entrepreneurs, business owners. Obviously, this is a podcast underneath the umbrella of the Chamber. And my question for you is, how can business owners get involved, partnering with Gleaners? We're going into the holiday season. We're also going into the cold months here in Michigan, which I know there's need all year round, but for some reason it just seems more pressing, the colder it gets and the closer it gets to the holidays for people. How can businesses partner and help Gleaners in the mission?
Oh, in so many ways. Well, we always encourage businesses to, we have the food and fun drives that we open up to any business, and food drives are, simple. We provide boxes for businesses, and then they can encourage their client base or, family and friends to go to the grocery store, buy food, deposit it in the boxes, and then we bring those items back to our pantry and we serve those to our clients. That's one good way. We have virtual food drives, which is, if you don't want to do the tangible item, but you would rather, give a cash donation. There's a QR code that we set up, and you can scan the QR code and make a donation that way, and you can provide a meal for a family. We have other campaigns going on. Right now, we have our 12 Days of Gleaners campaign. It runs from November 11th to the 22nd, and that campaign is raising funds. So if you'd like to make a donation to Gleaners, that campaign is actually matched by Ford Philanthropy. So for every dollar that is donated during that time, Ford matches that. So right now, every dollar that we raise provides 3 meals. With Ford's match campaign, every dollar that we raise actually provides 6 meals.
Wow.
So yes. So it's just a beautiful thing. We have, let me go back to my thing here.
Yeah, please.
Please. Yeah, there's so many.
Well, I just want to make sure that people are aware.
Yeah, absolutely.
Especially, I know a lot of people, especially associates I'm involved with, always ask, what avenues are there for helping people in the county? And if you don't know, if you don't have something tangible to do, so I just want to make sure that we go through this. And for the listeners, everything's going to be in the show notes as well. So
great.
Don't feel like you got to write all this down. There'll be all the links in there too.
Perfect.
Yeah, I wanted to make sure we went through all of it. So please go ahead.
Yeah, no, sure. Like, for example, on November 19th, we have Double Your Donation Day. So we talk about the impact and making that impact, but we also want to make that impact great. So if you're a local business and you want to donate to Gleaners, consider that you could make a monetary donation. And if you get it to us before November 19th, we have a match. And we can match those funds so that that's doubled. So we just had a beautiful church come in today and do a check presentation, and they raised almost $3,000, and we were able to put it toward the match on November 19th. So that 3,000, close to 3,000, will now be 6, and that means that we can purchase more food, and that means that more of our clients are getting more. That and we always have. Our goal is to make sure we always have what our client needs at all times.
Yeah. Absolutely. I love that. And so by November 19th, that's when the match expires. Mm-hmm. And then 12 days of Gleaners. So is there a separate theme for each day, I suspect? Or is it just 12 days of intense fundraising awareness?
12 days of intense awareness and funding. And that's really what it is. And it's designed to be catchy and quippy, so you remember it, right? And so, like we talked about earlier, like Hunger Free Summer, it's a title that sticks with you, right? When you think about it, Hunger Free Summer is a campaign, we are talking about children.
Yeah.
It's so that we are able to continue to provide food for families when their kids are home for the summer, because we know that they are getting the 2 meals a day at school and breakfast and lunch. And then oftentimes they are coming home and maybe they're not getting that extra hot meal that we would hope that they're getting. But if they're not, then we are here to make sure that those families know that they can come see us, that you come to the pantry. If you need food assistance help, please come see us. Yeah. We are happy. We do not turn anyone away. We make sure that you have what you need so that your family does not go hungry.
I love that. And what was the summer program name again?
Hunger Free Summer.
Hunger Free Summer. Mm-hmm. And that's such an important element that people miss, is there's a subset of children who go to school, and that's typically the only time they eat is at school. Correct. And then it becomes summer, mm-hmm. and that's gone.
Right.
So bringing awareness, having programs to mm-hmm. help bridge that gap, I think is a fantastic thing.
I agree. And we work with a lot of agencies in the community as well. And that's important to note because a few things. Our agency partners that we work with very closely, we have really good relationships. And we're talking about the Salvation Army. We're talking about La Casa. We're talking about all these other nonprofits that they're doing good things in their way as well. But we know that food insecurity doesn't have a look. And food insecurity, you can't eye it, right? You can't, it doesn't look like you, it doesn't look like me, it looks like anybody. Right. And so and a lot of people are afraid to identify as food insecure. And so when we're working in conjunction with our other agencies and our partnership with them, sometimes when they're doing the work that they're doing, they are identifying families and residents that need that help. Yeah. And they're able to call us and say, hey, I've identified somebody who, we were able to put them up for housing. However, they don't have any resource for food. And we say, okay, we'll bring them to us. And likewise, so if we had a client that came and said, I need food, but I have nowhere to live, then I would in turn call that agency and say, we have a resident here that needs your help. Is there a way that we can work together? Can I send him over to you so that he can get his other, basic needs met, really?
Yeah. Well, I'm very thankful that you guys are here in the county, and I know, I would imagine at this point it's well over tens of thousands mm-hmm. of meals served. And
it is. I'll tell you actually just a number real fast because I brought it with me.
Yeah.
In the last year, we have served over 3 million pounds of food between our pantry and our partner agencies. We have served over 600 pounds of food that we've rescued from local grocery stores. We have served over 45,000 gallons of milk in the last year.
And that was 600,000 pounds of food from grocery stores?
600. Yeah, wow. Over 600,000 pounds. Yep.
Wow.
Yep. And over 3.5 million pounds of food was distributed in Livingston County alone.
That's incredible.
Yes.
That's incredible. And I hope that if you're listening to this and you have the means to support Gleaners and, as a business, I would encourage you to do so. We certainly are here at Wayne Media.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah.
Katie, anything else you want to let listeners know before we wrap up today?
Thank you. I just want to tell everybody who's listening today, thank you very much for tuning in and understanding a little more about what we do at Gleaners. And we are excited for our partnerships that are to be based on this podcast. So we thank you. And, feel free to reach out. You can happily reach out to us via our website, which is gcfb.org. And I'm in the Livingston office just about 5 days a week. So if anyone has any more questions and would like to give me a direct call, they are happy to call our office, and I'll be happy to answer whatever questions they have, and encourage partnerships to step up and maybe sponsor our run in the summer, or try to sponsor maybe one, raise some funds for our match campaigns would be great.
Yeah, I love that. Thank you, Katie.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate it.
All right, everybody, that's going to wrap up this week's edition of the Chamber Podcast. As a reminder, you will see all of the links for today's guests in the show notes. So go ahead and check out all the great things that are going on over at Gleaners and how you can get involved. Apart from that, we'll catch you next week with a new episode. Take care.